Let's discuss today's current affairs. Today is an important day for India. Economic Survey 2024-2025 is set to be released today at 11 a.m. It provides a comprehensive review of India's economic performance over the past financial year. The Economic Survey will generally be published a day before Union Budget. It will outline key trends in sectors such as agriculture, industry, and services, while suggesting policies and measures to address economic challenges and drive growth. This year, that is 2024-2025, Economic Survey document comes only after 6 months of the last Economic Survey was presented. This is because 2024 year was an election year in India. Therefore, the survey was presented in July ahead of the full budget in 2024. The Economic Survey, what do you mean by an Economic Survey? The Economic Survey is an annual document or report presented by Ministry of Finance which offers an in-depth analysis of the economy's current state and futuristic outlook. Economic Survey serves as a crucial reference point for policymakers, economists, and industry stakeholders by highlighting key macroeconomic trends, assessing government policies, and suggesting fiscal strategies. Who prepares Economic Survey? The next question. The Economic Survey is prepared by the Economic Division of Department of Economic Affairs under the guidance of Chief Economic Advisor. India's present Chief Economic Advisor is Sri V. Anantha Nageshwaran. So, Department of Economic Affairs, there is an Economic Division working under Department of Economic Affairs under the guidance of Chief Economic Advisor will release the Economic Survey, and today we are going to see present 2024 Economic Survey. The Economic Survey is divided into two sections, Part A and Part B. Part A evaluates macroeconomic trends including fiscal performance, growth projections, external factors affecting the economy. Part B examines socio-economic policies such as education, employment, poverty, climate change, and sectoral policy recommendations. Why particularly civil aspirants and economists, policymakers, etc., they should read Economic Survey, understand Economic Survey. The survey plays a key role in shaping economic policies by offering a detailed assessment of economic indicators such as the first chapter initially speaks about generally GDP growth rate projections, GDP growth, inflation trends, agriculture and industrial output, employment levels in the country, foreign exchange reserves, money supply and fiscal trends. Coming back, tomorrow, that is February 1st, Union Budget will be released. Tomorrow is a budget day for India. The release of Economic Survey marks the beginning of budget session today in Parliament. The budget session January 31st to April 4th, 2025. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is going to present her 8th consecutive Union Budget. She is going to present her 8th consecutive Union Budget, and budget actually details government priorities, revenue allocations, and policy decisions with respect to upcoming financial year. Let's see what is going to be unveiled in the 8th consecutive budget of Nirmala Sitharaman. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said to make history with her 8th consecutive Union Budget. And she worked tirelessly with the officials, including Finance Secretary Tuhin Kant Pandey, to prepare a budget of over 50 trillion rupees for financial year 2025 and 2026. The budget will have to address several challenges, including the challenges with respect to economic growth, overall recession trends, falling of value of Indian rupee against the US dollar, and moderation in the consumption demand. The economic growth is estimated to slow a 4-year low of around 6.4%. The economic growth might be slowed down. The projection might slow down. This is the lowest growth since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, which hit the world in 2019. You all know that. Nirmala Sitharaman have an experience of steering the Indian economy in the difficult phases, including pandemic, including war, Russia-Ukraine war, including stagnant private investments, and also uncertain geopolitical situations in the world. But still, we have to wait and see how things are going to unfold. Particularly this year, I have seen rupee depreciation almost 85-86 rupees. So, income in the exchange value, if you see, 86 rupees is equal to $1. So we can see the steep fall of rupee value in the recent past. Now she has to address that concern also. So the government is also expected to actually stick to the fiscal glide path of reducing fiscal deficit. Addressing fiscal deficit is also a big thing because it's around 4.5%. Let's see how in budget they're going to address this fiscal deficit. So with this note, today and tomorrow, the entire aspirants, your duty is to follow economic survey and budget, because for civil service exam, economic survey and budget are like Bible. We have to prepare and go. Today and tomorrow, even I'm going to focus on both of them. Keep focusing on only economic survey and budget. Tomorrow is Saturday. Tomorrow, I'll be discussing in the entire session the highlights of economic survey. So the session tomorrow is highlights on economic survey. Coming back, yesterday, Mahatma Gandhi's death anniversary. Mahatma Gandhi Punya Tithi. January 30th is Gandhi's Punya Tithi. You all know that. Gandhi got assassinated on January 30th, 1948 by Nathuram Godse. The day is also known as Martyrs' Day and is dedicated to the father of the nation. This day, that is January 30th, is observed not only to remember Mahatma Gandhi and his contribution to the nation, but also to carry forward his values and principles in the futuristic sense. Mahatma Gandhi's role in the India's freedom struggle is well known. We all know that. But Gandhi's principles of non-violence and peace are more relevant today than yesterday. His principles of non-violence and peace, they are more relevant today than yesterday. Coming back, a bad news from Mahakumbh Mela. If you observe, Mahakumbh Mela stampede, 30 killed, 60 others injured in Prayagraj, confirms UP police. At least 30 people were killed and many were injured in a stampede at the world's largest religious gathering, early hours of Wednesday. There's a Mauni Amavasya period where a dip into the holy Triveni Sangamam, the devotees believe that it will take them to the salvation. Not only that, it's an obligation to be paid towards ancestors and our forefathers. For that reason, everyone will go to that on the particular day, auspicious day of Mauni Amavasya. So unfortunately, there was a stampede and 30 got killed. Coming back, the most important news for us, government approves National Critical Minerals Mission with an outlay of 34,300 crores. Government approves National Critical Minerals Mission, and you can expect a prelims question or mains question or even interview question with respect to critical minerals. 2 days back, Union Cabinet approved India's National Critical Mineral Mission with a financial outlay of 34,300 crores, and directly central government will be funding 16,300 crores and PSUs will be funding 18,000 crores. And this investment, this money, they are going to spend for in the next 7 years in the mission. The mission period was 7 years. National Critical Minerals Mission. You all know that critical minerals are the minerals which are very important for the economic development of the country, and where there is a demand-supply mismatch. Those minerals are called critical minerals. These critical minerals are important for solar photovoltaic cells, wind turbines, and also if you observe electric vehicles, for all these things. And India is trying to acquire critical mineral blocks in the foreign countries also. For example, our Khanij Videsh India Limited have acquired critical mineral blocks, lithium blocks in Argentina. And India is planning to have more critical minerals from foreign countries, overseas investments also. So this entire funding is very important investment for India, as India is a growing economy. Critical minerals are very important even for our renewable energy sector, and for this World Bank and Asian Development Bank are also showing interest to invest in the India's National Critical Minerals Mission. Critical minerals including various minerals like lithium, vanadium, tungsten, platinum. So they are all very important. Till date, India is a critical mineral import dependent country. We import critical minerals. At least we have to invest in the foreign countries for our own mining, exploration, processing of critical minerals. Even that you need to understand. Coming back, Supreme Court have given a very big judgment, landmark judgment. In a landmark ruling by the Supreme Court on January 29, Supreme Court of India declared that domicile-based reservations for PG medical courses unconstitutional, stating that such practices violate Article 14 of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to equality. So this is an interesting news that have come up. Domicile-based reservations with respect to PG NEET admissions is unconstitutional. That news is trending. Coming back, National Conference on Good Governance is being conducted at Gandhinagar, Gujarat. National Conference on Good Governance, organized by the Department of Administrative Reforms, Public Grievances and Pensions in collaboration with Government of Gujarat. That event was organized in Gandhinagar. It's very important. Good governance, you all know that it's a topic in our GS2 and GS4 also. You all know the attributes of good governance: responsible, inclusive, time-bound, citizen-centric, participatory. Okay, responsible governance is called good governance. So recently, a Canadian report have said that we cannot establish a definite link between India and Khalistan activists Nijjar's killing. So we cannot prove that India is involved in the Nijjar's killing. Recently, a Canadian report said that. So you all know that Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau have alleged India's involvement in Khalistan separatist leaders Nijjar's assassination. But recently, a Canadian Commission report have stated that we cannot show any definitive link with a foreign state was proven in killing Nijjar. This is very important. The report with 123 pages document released last week named public inquiry into foreign interference in federal election process and democratic institutions. So it said there is no definitive evidence with respect to India's interference in Nijjar's assassination. Rajasthan High Court have said live-in relationships must be registered with competent authority. You all know that recently we have seen the enforcement of Uniform Civil Code in Uttarakhand, where live-in relationships in Uttarakhand should be registered mandatorily. In the similar fashion, Rajasthan High Court also said that live-in relationships must be registered with the competent authority. A single judge bench heard several pleas with respect to live-in couples and seeking protection. The judge observed that till date such a law is enacted. No such law is enacted for the protection of live-in couples. So till date such a law is enacted. Live-in relationships must be registered with a competent authority or tribunal. Several couples are residing in live-in relationships and are facing threat and danger from their families and the society for non-acceptance of their relationship status. Hence, they are approaching courts to protect them under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So that is the thing. And next important thing is French National Assembly unanimously voted to ban telemarketing without prior consumer consent. You all know that we'll get regular phone calls. Do you want to purchase this? We are going to sell a plot. Or do you want to open an account? Do you want loan? Or sometimes we'll get a mail. So French National Assembly have passed a law banning this type of telemarketing without prior consumer consent, because it's a highly disturbing view, right? Whenever we are in our task, whenever we are in some other vocation, they'll suddenly call us, ma'am, do you want to purchase a plot? We are going to sell a plot, like that, right? In a landmark move, the French National Assembly has voted unanimously to ban all forms of telemarketing without prior consumer consent. People can't take it anymore, and it's through these approaches that we find fraud, scams. So it's important to ban. So I wish that India also should have this. Coming back, I wish that India should also ban this type of without consent telemarketing concept. Next, Taiwan to take in 1,000 Indian workers. Recruitment talks on with northeastern states. So Taiwan is going to employ Indian workers from northeastern states. Particularly in Taiwan, there was a shortage in the employees. Particularly in Taiwan, there's a shortage in the employees. So one interesting news that is coming up, after Pushpa 2 stampede, Telangana High Court restricts children under 16 from post 11 p.m. movie screenings. We should not take small children who are under 16 to movie halls after 11 p.m. So Telangana High Court said, till the government frames the rules with respect to cinematographic rules, we should not make the children to go to the movies after 11 p.m. considering their physical and mental health, their security and welfare. Considering their physical and mental health, their security and welfare. And most importantly, there's a rule that after 1:30 a.m. in the midnight, before 8:40 a.m. in the morning, no screening should be continued. But unfortunately, in most of the multiplexes, we can see the screenings even beyond 1:30. So all these things are coming up. And next important news, every Saturday in AP is a no bag day for the children, school students. So WhatsApp governance in AP, first time in the state of AP, first time in India, I can say. WhatsApp governance started. 161 government services immediately, they will be available on WhatsApp. Andhra Pradesh government launched WhatsApp governance from January 30th, allowing citizens to access 161 government services directly through WhatsApp messaging app. With this respect, the state of Andhra Pradesh have made a deal with Meta on October 22nd, 2024. The services like endowments, energy, APS RTC, revenue, Anna canteen, CM relief fund, municipal administration, etc. are covered under this move. It will be simplified and no citizen need not waste his time all the time, and it also contributes for digital governance, real-time governance and quick governance, speedy delivery, expeditious delivery of services and qualitative delivery of services. So AP launched WhatsApp governance. Andhra Pradesh launched WhatsApp governance. Coming back, the other interesting news that is coming up, king cobra reclassified into 4 species after 20 years study. This year, we can expect a question on snakes or snake bites because central government have made snake bite as a notifiable disease. Central government have made snake bite as a notifiable disease. You can expect a direct hit question from the snake bite. And most importantly, king cobra reclassified into 4 species after 20 years of study. After 20 years of study, king cobra was reclassified into 4 varieties or 4 species. King cobra reclassified into 4 species. A recent study has transformed our understanding of the king cobra, the world's longest venomous snake. King cobra is the world's longest venomous snake. For nearly 188 years, this snake was classified as a single species, Ophiophagus hanna. The name is Ophiophagus hanna. However, extensive research over the past decades have revealed that it actually have 4 distinct species. So after 20 years of research, led by wildlife biologist Gauri Shankar and supported by scientists including UK, Sweden, Malaysia and India, used genetic and morphological analysis to identify the differences among the king cobras across the geographical range. Their findings were published very recently in 2025 and reclassifying king cobra into 4 different species: Western Ghats king cobra, Luzon king cobra, Sunda king cobra, Northern king cobra. It's very important. Coming back, King cobra's venom is highly neurotoxic, meaning it affects nervous system. It affects nervous system. Scientists found that venom composition varies between 4 species. So, they have classified king cobra into, reclassified king cobra into 4 species. Scientists said that the levels of venom presence in the king cobras change. Venom composition varies between the 4 species. This means that anti-venom must be specifically developed for each type of king cobra to improve the snake bite treatment. And snake bite related issues are in news in the recent past. You can expect a question. So, another important news, US court says that banning gun sales to adults under 21 is unconstitutional. That means you can sell guns who are under 21 also in US. So, even Donald Trump supports gun culture. Unlike in India, in US, gun culture is highly prevalent. Even young children will also, temporarily it was banned, now again they can also possess guns if no objection comes from various courts. And finally, some psychopaths use gun for mass killings, etc. If you observe in US, with the rampant use of gun, some mass killings from psychos, terrorists also, we can see that. Some other important news that is trending, if you observe, if you see Hindu newspaper and that news is trending since yesterday, very bad news I can say. US aircraft collides with chopper. 67 feared dead. Complete everyone. There are 2 important terms here. One is Potomac River. Second is hypothermia. Hypothermia, extreme cold condition. Second is Potomac River. So, if you observe, you can see Musi in Hyderabad, Ganga in Varanasi. Similar way, Washington DC is in the riverfront of Potomac. So, you have to read about Potomac River. Passenger plane collides with US military helicopter mid-air before crashing into Potomac River in Washington. As it was extreme cold, people cannot survive in such a cold temperatures more than 15 to 20 minutes. So, we cannot expect hope for even a single survivor. Because not only accident but also it was extreme cold condition, hypothermia. Coming back, other news is all about Election Commission asked Arvind Kejriwal to provide evidence by today morning for poisoning of Yamuna. Arvind Kejriwal have given a comment about intentionally poisoned Yamuna water was being sent to Delhi. And even Atishi, Delhi CM, also have given such. Lot of ammonia content is there. She has given some facts also. Ammonia content is there in the Yamuna water. So now Election Commission asked Arvind Kejriwal to defend his statement with evidence that Yamuna was poisoned. Okay. And Arvind Kejriwal, yesterday you can see in his press meet, he brought bottles of Yamuna water and asked the authorities to drink. If you really wish to, you drink it and prove it that it is not poisonous. So that was the scenario. So election time, right? People will speak many things like this. So in Delhi, in another few days, next week there is an general election in Delhi for Legislative Assembly. So they will speak all these things. Coming back, if you see Hindu paper editorials, an opportunity to settle Sri Lanka's ethnic problem, very important. India needs good education infrastructure in all districts. So kindly focus on SR report given by Pradham Foundation also, and Donald Trump, and yesterday I am reading a news, Elon Musk was nominated for Nobel Peace Prize. How many of you support that Nobel Peace Prize should be given to Elon Musk? One more I can say, heart-touching news. Sunita Williams stranded in space for 237 days. She went for a week's journey to the International Space Station. She was there for more than 8 months, and now she is telling that I forgot how to walk. Now I should remember how to walk again. Her health condition, and also her colleague astronaut Butch Wilmore, his health condition is very precarious. Donald Trump in his election campaign also used this as a election tool, saying that you have abandoned the astronauts in the space. The Biden government have abandoned the astronauts in the space, and he promised that if he becomes the president, he'll bring them back speed with a super speed. Now NASA is working with Elon Musk to bring them back expeditiously. So this is a trending news that is coming up. And one more interesting news, as I told you, Elon Musk was nominated for Nobel Peace Prize. Let's see. Let's wish him all the best. Okay.